All right, and we are live. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Roots. Hey mom, how you doing?
Hey, Alexander, how's it going?
Good, good. My room is different. I am back up in Boston.
I edit out all of those because I don't think people need to know that.
Okay,
So,
fair enough. Well, welcome everyone back to Roots. For those of you that are listening in for the first time, welcome. For those of you that are coming back, welcome back. Roots is a series of conversations between my mom and myself and our family to understand our history, to understand our present, with the intention to link the two, so that they can connect us even stronger than before. So, how you doing today, Mom?
I love it. I love the connection. Every time I talk to you, I just feel like I'm able to pass down a little piece of the history to you, and it makes me happy.
That's great. That's great. That's really good to hear. And I'm learning so much about it with every episode. And I think this is a particularly interesting one because based on last episode, we left you right in the middle of an ocean on
I
a
know,
boat
yeah.
with a bunch of random sweaty people.
Oh,
Um,
goodness,
and
yeah.
and and that and that's only the beginning, right?
Okay, so yeah, that's half of it.
Mhm.
We will actually, I don't even remember that we talk about the part that we saw land after four episode of being raised by pirates.
Well,
And
yeah, we haven't even gotten there yet. So we haven't even gotten to the pirating
right, so
camp.
we got to get to the pirates first before we can get to the Malaysia.
Hmm.
And yeah, the pirates, it was the big horrid moments in my life. That was something nobody planned for. Nobody even have any inkling idea. So that was took us totally surprised.
Yeah, and
Not a
and
good way.
honestly, this is obviously a very sensitive topic. So only speak to this stuff to the extent that you're comfortable. I don't feel like I don't want you to feel like you're having to divulge more information than you would like. But I think that this is a really pivotal experience that changes a lot of the way of how you perceive things, right?
Mm.
Because um, in those instances, you fear for your life. You really fear for, am I am I going to get taken? Am I going to get shot? Am I going to get thrown overboard? And I think that this is one of those experiences that hopefully I will never have to come across.
I
You know,
hope
I'm
not,
Yeah,
really.
I'm in a very different environment. I'm in a very different situation, and I've definitely done some stupid things that have, put my safety into jeopardy. But nothing across like someone that is there standing in front of you with the intent to kill, like to say like, yeah, like if it comes down to you or me, like I have the means to kill you. And I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if you could speak to what that was like for you.
A-
And,
And
and
I wonder those pirates are really intent to kill because just to satisfy um, their cruelness. I think if they ever done anything, yeah, one is the intent to overpowering you. Secondly, I think they are afraid too. I think they're very
really,
afraid, yeah, because they are just as illegal acting as anything. Like
mm,
if they get caught internationally by any of the parole boat or the coastal guard, they probably would be in deep trouble because most of those pirates were actually, from what I learned, are mostly fishermen that
mm,
disguise as they were fishermen, and it makes a whole lot faster money by intimidating people, and a lot more money than you go fishing.
right.
But yeah, so all these whole pirate things, I don't think that either my mom or dad really have prepared for it. I mean, we're
Mm,
prepared about how we get out by crossing the guards and make sure that the guards are not play trick on us. Have some other coastal guard that took us back in. It's just like there's a lot of chances that you get tricked and you get scammed. But somehow, and we prepare for that. We prepare a lot for the local official, the local government people. And once we got to the open sea, out to the Gulf of Thailand, we thought that, oh my God, there must probably a lot of big boat, merchant boat parade out there that we definitely going to bump into some of the boat to rescue us. Like many glory story that people send home, like, oh, we got rescued by the German boat, we got rescued by the Singapore boat, we got rescued a lot of, international crossing. There's a lot of big ships and a lot of boats, but we didn't get any of those luck. And what we saw was maybe 3 times the size of our boat. And they're a big fishing boat because you have to be big in order to be out in the big open water. And so we didn't prepare for us. I was really, really scared. In multiple incident, we were just so tired. They yank out the jewelry from people that wearing. So lots of people just like don't even fight. We have a lot of children, we have a lot of older folks, we have a lot of women, and the men's a little antsy, and they say that they see that they can take over some of these pirates because basically they're just a handful of males.
Yeah.
And some of them not even like, mature males. Some of them are like teenager kids. And they wear a bandana, and they draw on their face, and the whole intent is to intimidate you so they can get quick money, and then they can just quickly leave because they didn't want to get caught either. So the thing is, I was really afraid. People were afraid because they had guns.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't. And even though they only like a handful, probably a dozen, no more than that, and we 500
a terrifying
people.
prospect. It's a terrifying prospect.
And we were like we have no room to move around, let alone how are you going to fight anything? And they have the radio backup, and we were afraid that they're going to shoot. They don't have to even shoot us. They just shoot a hole in the boats, and that's all it takes.
Oh, that's
really all we need. One hole, the whole entire 502 people will sink in the ocean, and nobody would know. So we were terrified.
You're helpless there. Yeah.
We didn't want to upset them, so we let them take whatever. And the first 2 rounds, they really hit a high, jackpots because they got a lot. I mean, believe it or not, people still come out after they pay for the governments in Vietnam. They still coming out with a lot of possession.
Yeah, because you were talking about how crafty you were with like sewing things into your jackets and people hiding things in their teeth, right?
Yeah. My mom was so skillful in that.
Yeah.
Even so, we still have a lot of things that we took that that we can readily liquefy them. There's a lot of things. My mom did drill a hole on her molar and put a diamond on that molar.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I did not. I heard about it, but
that's the worst root canal ever.
Oh my God! I mean, she's already have the nerve is already dead, so she just did a crown or some sort. She just put the diamond in there, and that I don't think that she took it out until she got to the United States, because there's no way to take it out. But there's a lot of things that, because you have to think about emergency after emergency after emergency.
Yeah.
So we get many backup plans. But my fear was that because I was 16 and there's a lot of girls in that boat.
Yeah.
And we didn't, like I said, I didn't hear much about that in Vietnam, which is good because I would be horrified if I know ahead. You know what I mean? I might be prepared, but you can't really prepare when you when you get hit by the pirate. There's no way.
But also when it's staring you in the face, that's just so much more real. Yeah.
Right. So I did not have a clue, thinking that, oh my God, I did have some inkling fear, but I didn't think too much about being raped or being, taken away until the third round. Until the third round,
Hmm.
they were able to thin our boat people into two of their boats, because now not one boat attacking us, but two bigger boats were sandwiching us in the middle, and they thinned the people out to both of their boats so they can thoroughly search the boat, because the boat was so crowded. There's no way people can move around. They
Yeah.
can't really do a thorough search. And at that point, when I separated from my own boat, and on my, the corner of my eyes, I saw my dad and my younger brother is in one boat.
Hmm.
They got lured into one boat, and then my mom with a couple younger brother and sister and some of my cousin stay in my boat, because they only lure like the younger adult or the men, because those are the people who still got strength to get up to
Yeah.
walk around. So
Yeah.
the women's and the little kid, they're crying, they're screaming, and they just let the women and the kids stay in our own boat.
Hmm.
And there's some unfortunate incidents that happen, which I'm not going to share here, and I
Sure.
didn't share in my book either.
Totally.
But that is something that is not happened to me, and I don't think it's fair that if I share it, I don't
Totally
want.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally get it.
But
Do you
that
do you
had
do you, do you
effect.
feel like this was like a like at these points there's so many things racing through your head, like at some point you're just like, just I just want to go back home, like even through after all of that,
Wow,
did
I
did,
didn't
did
even
your
thinking
perception start
about
to
the part
change?
going home, because there's no time to even think about. I wish I'm home. I'm just thinking about how can I avoid not being a victim.
Yeah.
Like I was clinging on to, like I said, on the guardrail. I was just like so afraid. I was trembling,
Yeah.
and to the point that hyperventilating. And I
Yeah.
saw, and I hear more than I see, because the lady that got strip searched was quite a distance from me, but she was screaming so loud that it just like got a shriek in my ears.
Yeah.
And I was just like, please don't let it be me. Please, that's all I can pray for, that they
Yeah.
will have mercy on us.
Yeah, that's I think that's like the craziest thing, because like whenever I think about like a tough situation, I always think like, well, I've always had the ability to think through like what my options are. How do I get out of something? What do I do? Whereas like this is a very, in the context, like a very purely helpless situation.
Yeah, you're a
Like you just,
prey.
yeah, you just got to
I
be like, well, whatever. Like,
you just like the cat and the mouse. You are the mouse, and you are being captured by the cat, and you just have to wait for the mercy. And sometimes the cat like to play with it and tossing you around, and
geez, yeah,
sometimes they let you go, and sometimes they'll eat you.
yeah,
So you just don't know which situation. But my fears of all fear is they're gonna humiliate me in front of a
yeah,
lot of other people.
yeah,
So yeah, a lot of things that raced through my mind at the time. And like I said on my TEDx talk, that one of the younger kid, he's about my height, and I'm not that tall. I'm
yeah,
16 at the time, but I'm petite. And this kid's probably about 12, because he still got a baby voice. He's still got his puberty is not quite there yet, so you can still hear that he's got a boyish voice.
hmm,
And he screamed at me something, and then I hit a gold ring under my tongue, and he just slapped me in my face. And it was really scary. And I was like, I better not get him mad, because I'm not afraid of him, because he's a little kid, and I don't think he's going to do anything bad to me. But there's other men's in there,
yep,
and you just do not want to poke the bear. You
yep.
don't know, you do not want to be standing out. You just want to make sure that you are blending and you are invisible. And
Especially
that
when that
was,
bear is a pirate. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it was scary. And then I was just holding my breath until the moment that they done searching, and they
yeah,
released us back into our own boat. And we
That's got to
were,
be such a feeling of relief,
oh
huh?
my God, it was so, I can't describe the feeling because it was getting dark. And if they
Mhm.
take you to any remote island and you are away from your parent, you're it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Your microphone cut out for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I think I touched it by accident. So there are a lot of stories that being told that women being captured and never saw their parents and never saw the daylight,
Hmm.
gone, disappear. And there's no way that anybody can find you because once they take you to the jungle or to any remote place, there's no way anybody can find you. And that's the
Yeah.
most fear that I had at that time.
Hmm.
It was, I have to say that thank God that he looked over us. And by the time they done, they put everybody back into the boat, and we were exhausted from
Yeah.
crying, from being terrified, and we didn't care about what we lost at that moment anymore. It's just like, are you okay?
Just
You
have
know,
each other. Yeah.
right, right.
Like it's like quasi cliche in the sense, but really the most like base fundamental like emotion of that. Like I can't even think about what that's like. I mean, did 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 experiencing that give you any sort of resolution or resolve for moving forward in your life? Like was that something
Oh
like
yeah. So
what did you take
everything
from
else become a pirates in my life after that. I feel like,
really?
I feel like it's scary. Um, I let the pirate of life rob a lot of things in my earlier years because of fear.
Hmm.
Fear of being stand out, being seen, being heard, being visible.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of fear that uh, things that it's a lot of PTSD also
Yeah, of
that
course.
you don't know that it affecting you a lot in your life.
Uh-huh.
And whether people get encounter real pirates or not, we all have pirates in our life. The pirates of time, robbing your productive time,
Mm.
the pirate of being afraid that people will judge you, the pirate that being afraid of say something or be seen. There's all different kind of metaphor, but I think the pirates in that stage had always reappeared in my life as a different form.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's very interesting because I think your very specific instance is just like don't stand out, don't become the center of attention, like stay on the sideline and figure it out from there. It's very different from my upbringing where it's like you have to be noticed, you have to
Yeah,
figure out like how you're going to be like the focal point, like the center of
right.
attention, the best at whatever it is that you're doing. um and do you feel like watching me try to do that was setting off any alarms for you?
No, I'm actually training you to do that. That's why in your 11th grade in your junior year, that's why I pushed you to be launching the Toastmaster Gavel Club in your school, because I do not want you to be me. I'm
Sure.
actually I'm actually see that the disadvantage that of that fear that has done to me, and I really want to push you out of being comfortable. And I'm really glad that
Wow.
you like to play piano, performing piano in front of a large crowd of audience. You're not afraid, because that for me and for your daddy, that would be a terrifying thing to do. Being seen under the spotlight, that's something that we never thought that we would be able to do. And the first thing, when we have you, is that I really want you to be comfortable to be in the spotlight, to speak your voice, to do the things that you are proud of, or I'm proud of you. And when you were able to play piano and when you were 3 years old performing on the stage by yourself and have no fear about it, and I was like, oh, mission accomplished. And I hope he'll carry that until when he's adulthood,
The,
because
another thing that really puts all of that into perspective is like, you're literally trying to make a career doing something that you have a traumatic history about. Like that, I didn't think about this until now, but like, you know, you have a lot of fear around being, and there's basic fear where it's like, oh, I'm nervous about getting up on stage and talking to people, but it's like, oh, I'm nervous about getting up on stage and talking to people because, and I have this really traumatic history with, being visible and being public, that is,
and
another immense handicap. that
and
that's
not
I
just
never thought
that,
of that way.
not
That's
just the
crazy.
pirates incident. It's not even only the pirate incident. It's being raised in the family of my very disciplinary dad.
Yeah, there's so many
We're
factors.
not allowed
So
to
many.
like ask question. Well, it didn't say that you can't ask question, but you know that if you ask question, you get scolded or you get punished.
Yeah.
Or, things that you learn, you don't speak. You're just taking order. So already that one front, I was so well trained about not arguing back, even when you're right. You don't debate with your parents.
Mm.
So that is already my life upbringing about not speaking up. Not you can be seen, and sometimes you don't want to be seen either, because you if you are being seen in the wrong place, you might get in trouble, because when daddy's frustrating and get pressure or certain things, he might taking out on you. So you're trying to be in a place that you don't have a voice, you don't have an appearance. It's most safe. And for me, when much later in my career life, I picked a career that I didn't really have to speak. I didn't
Yeah.
have to do anything that is visible. Me and my solo place in a room to do my things. And I wasn't happy because that's just not me.
Okay.
But I get the impression that, that's a safer place. Um, so yeah, that's much later on. And yes, that pirate is a very, very large symbol in my life, because I
Mm.
felt like, I'm not going to let it rob from me, you know, because of the fear.
Yeah, totally. And even moving on from there, like, again, we're in such a level of territory that I'm just kind of like, I'm just trying to visualize it. There's no way for me to kind of like get close to what that actually feels like. But it gets worse from there. Like,
It, it
it's
did.
like once the pirates are done taking everything that is
So
usable on the boat,
the
and
funny
then
thing is, after the fourth round, I mean, after the third round, we were so exhausted, and the boat was such a, how do you say that? It's in what's the word for it? Like chaotic or just messy. Everything was just
yeah,
everywhere. People stepping on. It's just people and things being dumped out, and everything was just on top of each other. So the fourth round of pirates, they they felt so bad for us. They felt pity
no,
for us.
no,
They got to us and they saw, like, oh my god, there's a lot of sick puppies here. Everybody is vomiting, and after that it was like the third day or the fourth day in the high sea, and they felt pity for us, so they actually gave us a little bit thing to drink, not a whole lot. They just, okay, here you go. I don't think you guys have anything for me to rob, so here's some
yeah.
water, here's some kanji, just disappear.
It's a really sad pirate attack when the pirates that came to rob you actually give you some stuff.
They have a little bit of a heart. They didn't, kill us or get angry, but they actually felt sorry for us.
Yeah.
And then they let us go, and then we were drifting, and then by the fourth day, we start seeing a little hazy thing on the horizon, and we saw something like a shade of a mountain, and we were so happy. Oh my God. I mean, at that time, I was super thirsty, super tired, and not just me, pretty much everyone. I mean, to the point that we can't even express our happiness. It was like, we're gonna be safe. Yeah.
I think I want to hear more about the hunger and the thirst, especially the thirst, because I tell you about did I tell you about the fasting experience that I tried to do?
No.
So I mean, part of it was just like I wanted to see what would happen, but part of this was also like I wonder what in some way I can try and emulate this experience. But
Wow.
I had done a week-long fast to try and figure out, well, what did mom and dad feel like um
Wow.
going through this? And
I
so
did not
and
know that.
it was a pretty generous program. So like I just didn't eat for a week. I had a cup of coffee, a cup of green tea, and a multivitamin each day, and then I just drank as much water as I wanted. And I, through logging that experience, I felt what like a really empty stomach was like, kind of like understanding what hunger is like. But obviously, it's in a very comfortable condition, and there's the fact that I mean, I can drink as much water as I want. And I was wondering if you could tell me more about how that felt for you in on
Uh,
that
it's really
condition.
hard to describe because fear took precedent of everything.
Oh,
Um, you are afraid that you're gonna sink in the middle of the night in the darkness because there's no lighting on the boats even. So when the sun go down, there's pitch black. Now when the sun's come up, it's scorching sun and it's super super hot, and you are being burned, with the sun, and your skins are cracking, and the salty air didn't help, and the splashing. If you're splashing salt water, it becomes sticky and it absorbs the sun even faster. So
mm-hmm.
that was just very uncomfortable condition.
Mm,
And to be honest, we were super tired and hungry, but um, eating was not even like a solution. I mean, we probably can eat a little bit of something soupy, but because that, oh, many of us never been into the sea, so the sea motion, was just really take a toll on your body, and you're almost like in the stage of zombie because you just can't think straight. You're kind of floating and you're sort of hallucinating,
yeah.
um, and thirsty. I remember super thirsty, and I dream about having a slice of orange. I dream about drinking water. I dream a lot about taking in. Um, I think lots of people deal with it when it comes. Like if you were put in the desert or in the sea, your body will sort of like get your strongest defensive mechanism that you don't even plan for.
Yeah.
You probably feel a lot weak and tired when you do the fasting at home.
Yep.
But like you say, you know that it's better to take vitamin, to take water, which I don't encouraging anybody to try to take a week and doing fasting just to see how they feel. But I'm grateful that you even trying to put yourself through that experience to see what you feel like, and I hope you never ever ever have to feel like that in the real life. You could do that in your choice, but when I had that experience, and many people, I'm not the only one. I think your body is super fragile, but as soon as you get to the ground or as soon as you get something to eat, it will recover. It's the mental thing that will haunt you for years and years and years. The
Sure.
physical you can recover, but the mental is the one that I have to deal with over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not the only one. And that's why the mental part, I never really want to be at the space at the stage that I won't be able to provide food for my family for a whole week. You know what I mean? Like it's always
Okay.
preparing, always
Hmm.
saving, always think about the rainy day.
Yeah.
So
So
if that's like a
that
good
really
lesson,
drives, yeah, that really drives kind of like a lot of the household culture that I experienced growing up. That makes a lot of sense now.
yeah. So people who come from hardship, like even people who went through the depressions or the World War II, I
Hmm.
think you will find many of them have the same mindset, the mental
Sure.
preparedness.
Yeah.
You always be frugal. You always extremely careful on your spending, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's just because that you have been to the worst bottom place in your life and you ever never want to be back in that space again.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Man, that's
when we
crazy.
get yeah, when we got to the horizon and we saw it and we got in, and sure enough, it was Malaysia. It was some of the island in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if we have time to even just talking about the encounter with the Malaysian Coastal Guard.
I think honestly, like
Hmm.
there's because that is an experience in of itself, and then I feel like there's a third section of the boat journey where like I hate to repeat myself, but it gets worse. but but I and there is a specific other thing that I wanted to talk to you about there. But I think it's a good idea to save that for the next session because this is a lot of information as well, and I think that that there's some stuff that I want to reflect on there, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to say that I had no idea that you did the fasting. Is that before you read my book, or is that after you read my book?
That was after I read the book. I was I decided to do kind of like a week long fast just to understand because apparently there are some health benefits to it. There are some
Yeah,
other things that I mean if it's controlled
right.
and you do it well,
Yeah,
there are some things that it does for you. But I was generally just very curious to be like, well, what's gonna happen if I don't eat for a week? Like just what's gonna happen? Like how am I gonna feel?
right.
Um, and
Well, I
so
appreciate that. I appreciate you telling me because I didn't think that it just really I really appreciate. That's all I can say. That you even just do that, even just to think about put yourself back where I was 40 years ago. That was just amazing how
yeah. And
thoughtful
then when I
you
think
are.
about it, it's like, all right, so what if I had to do that while I was on a boat? And oh, what if the boat was in the ocean? And like, and it's like
Yeah,
when you
right.
piece it together, it's just like, all right, I mom's really cool. She's really strong and she's really cool. I'm never gonna get there. So
You know what? Let's say that hopefully you never ever have to get there. But you know that if any crisis, your body, your mind will prepare for it and you will fight just like I did. Just
mhm,
like tens of hundred other thousand people that who did the same thing I did
yeah.
to cross out the ocean. And I hope that many of those people's children be able to read their story and understand them like you are trying to understand me.
Mhm,
And that would be the most beautiful things because when you have that understanding for each other, and somehow you know I'd like to see myself in you in some scenario. So the only way you can get the love to expand is to compassion, and the only way you have compassion is when you understand what the other person have gone through.
mhm,
And for me to understand you, I think is a little hard too, because for me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why you want to put yourself in jeopardy when you don't have to, you know?
yeah. No, it's a completely different upbringing. It's a completely different set of experiences.
Right. For
And I
somebody
think
who've been through it, want to avoid it, and for somebody who have never been through it, want to try it.
yeah,
So
and I
for
think
people,
like the strongest thing there is, and I think you know, bridging the connection between our understandings. Like, I think there's a
Hmm.
realization at some point where I was like, I'm never gonna, like, in a lot of instances, like, quite frankly, I'm not gonna relate to you.
Hmm.
Like, we're not the same person. We have completely different backgrounds
Right.
and influences, but it's important for me to understand, you know, how you and I are different. And I think that in itself is just, it's
Yeah.
bridging a gap more than anything.
And I want to bring up one topic. I mean, the reason I was so fearful when you were in Mexico, and all I could think is somebody gonna kidnap you, just like the pirate kidnapped me, right? Let's put
Yeah.
it in that scenario. Pirate didn't kidnap me, but the mind is horrible when you exaggerating, when you're expanding the thought. And all I could think is, what if the cartel, the drug cartel, kidnap you to the jungle, and there's no way I can find you?
Yeah.
And I always want to be on top. It's like, where you going, exactly where I want to
Yeah.
know, I want to track, because I have been through that fear. And
Yeah.
if I put myself back into that space, I can go crazy with all the different crazy thought in my mind.
Yeah.
And
That's something where it's like, I really, like, when I'm there, I brush it off and I'm like, oh my goodness, why does she care so much about this? But like,
right.
you have a very valid reason to.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
the
it's like
amazing part.
when people have never been through it, they take it very lighthearted.
Hmm.
This is something that you just don't want to be the wrong place, the wrong time, because drastic thing can happen. And sometimes it's not up to us can control the situation. When we're not able to control the situation, and that's the most dangerous thing, because your life is in somebody else's hands and up
Yeah.
to their mercy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're home in one piece, and I know that you have a lot of more story that you didn't tell me, and sometimes, I don't even want to know, because you're home and you're safe. That's all I
Mhm.
care. But learn from the mistake, or learn from my story, and hopefully that you can try adventure things, but just be careful on the safe side that you're not doing foolish things. You know.
Yes, Mom, I will. All righty. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap everything up. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to another episode of Roots. Thanks, Mom, for hopping on and continuing to share your story with me. Any final words from you?
Yes, just so the audience just get into this first episode and had no idea what we're talking about. My memoir is called "I Did Not Miss the Boat." This is a story that I tell about the journey that how my family escaped Vietnam back in 1979, crossed the ocean, and become a refugee, and then settle in United States. And my son Alexander, who was born in this country, have not a clue about what's going on back then. So when he read the story, he has a lot of questions that he want to ask me, and that's why um, this podcast is born. So I hope that if you have a refugee story, an immigrant story, a story that you don't understand about what your parents been through, or what your kids been through, even if you are parents my age, and you want to dig a little deeper to know who your children are, it would be a great conversation to have about your roots, your family history, and that's how we're gonna bridge that gaps of two generations.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Mom. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.